Hey everyone, I wanted to build a local AI interactor with this WaveShare device. This one has all sorts of ports and buttons and a speaker and a place for a battery, but sadly this device didn't work. I like stuff from WaveShare. This one just happened to be defective for some reason. So I looked around at my parts box and what I found was I actually have equipment to do this. ESP32S3. I have the speaker amplifier, the requisite speaker, of course. And I also have power supplies. This one, I've added a filter for other reasons. And then what I have included are 2 microphones so we could do beamforming or any other type of filtering I'll find I need. I started with the display and just one mic. I ran into some acoustic issues with the speaker and a combination of all this input and output audio equipment. Originally, the design at the time with one mic had the speaker coming out the front, which seems logical. Mic go in here, speaker there. And we look at the back, it would just be butted up. But that's actually not ideal, not for the sound of the speaker or how it would interact with the microphone. So I had some acoustic challenges. We could see that the speaker would be encased and the air that would be moved from within the box would be separated. The sound coming out the bottom. And this place closed off. I had the mics up front, so the microphones and the speakers would be at least 90 degrees out of phase with each other. A rear cover would only expose a charging port, thus sealing off the speaker from the rear as well, so it could only come out the bottom. Subsequently morphing into a modular design like this, we could see the speaker encapsulated here on the bottom with the amplifier right here, the wires coming up. 3 ports here allow for either a central microphone, a single one, or the beamforming with 2 on the sides with a blank plate in the middle. The mics being further encased up here for shielding and isolation from the speaker. This is done with these caps that I plug in here. They're going to be locked into place. The microphone being up front, we now have these separate compartments that we could store them in, and we have that separation, the separation here, and then the separation from the speaker itself. Finally, the rear cover will seal everything except for that power port. A little bit of ventilation up top, but it's not in the speaker section. This design further gave the speaker more of a bass tone than a very tinny treble tone because it's so small. Finally, these TPU feet, which plug into the bottom, give us the 5 millimeters that we require based on some formulas that will run to provide the best sound for a bottom-facing speaker. And so for this project, the software and the modeling are going to be developed in tandem. This has all been set up on 5 separate plates, and what we have here is the 2 mic setup components, the single mic, the common back cover and brackets, the actual case, and then separately the feet so they could be printed in TPU. All of the optimal print settings have already been set up for each one of these plates, so all you need to do is load it and print, and you could just use PLA, that would be fine. Everything now out on the table, inspected, and ready to proceed. Starting with the speaker and amplifier, the amp will be pre-wired first. That'll be done with solid 24 gauge copper. I should have gotten the silicon ones, but these I'll have to be a little more careful when I solder onto this board. It's important that the cables reside on the chip side of this board. So I'll put it up in my printed vise. I've made a slight detent here for the solder side of the board. The sides can be facing down, and cables make their way up to the ESP32 over here. Way too much flux in this Q-tip. I'll remove some now. I got enough for the whole project on that Q-tip. Standard soldering procedure. Make sure you leave enough length where you could be doing it over. I always reserve red and black or red and green for VCC and ground. The other colors here, yeah, they don't really matter, but these 2 I always keep the same. On this board we can see that there are only 5 connections and 2 are empty. For reference, I cut these cables at 15 centimeters. A pair of these things are used to cut it as close as possible to the board. That side is done. We'll have a quick look at the fitment. It'll go in just like that. I don't want to seat it all the way down yet. We still have these 2 cables going to the speaker to install. And no, I'm not going to be making a video of soldering every connection. It's just at the first board I go into extra detail. Things looking good. Snip it off. And we're ready to install this first piece. I'll tell you now, once it's seated like this, we needn't put the bracket on just yet, as long as you were going to make this permanent at this point. I do find it easier to remove this and then work on it as a separate piece later. But in this case, earlier in the video, I decided to install the bracket. This one has a shallower ridge, not to be confused with the two microphone brackets. There's only one of these. The bracket was supposed to pop right on, so it's good I actually tried this at this point because I realized that I had printed everything in the regular format and not in the high res. So what I ended up having to do is reprint every single part with the correct setting. The correct setting is now in the saved file. At the time, I muscled through it knowing that I'd have to reprint this anyway, so I decided if I could seat this, at least I could get the cable for the speaker to be correct. I'll point out that I did not need to install this bracket to get the right size of the cable for the speaker. I just opted to. In fact, this piece was supposed to just pop right on and be super glued later. However, with that in place, I now install the speaker with the contacts facing the rear of the cabinet, obviously, so I could solder them. And this speaker's a press fit, so I just line it up, and with a little bit of resistance I can push it, and it'll fully seat in the back. Very easy. Soldering our two cables here to complete this portion. Because it's a speaker cable, while I don't know if it's entirely necessary in the setup, I put a slight twist in it. Determine my approximate length, and cut as appropriate, being mindful of the polarity as written on that white portion of the speaker. The cables will then be stripped and prepped, then finally soldered. This section is now complete. The remaining cables would be bent upward as shown, making its way through the ductwork to the top portion where the ESP32 would reside. The next piece that I'm going to do is the DC power port here. For that, I have some standard USB-C power connectors, bought a pack of 10, one I've already removed for this project, and we can see that the outer portion of the circuit board will solder some cables, and this is a press fit, so with a little bit of force, it should snap right in, but we're not going to do it until the cables are soldered onto there, so let's do that now. The cables will come in from the top side, and again I used red and black because it's power. I'll twist these cables only to ensure that it stays in the middle of the circuit board for the next step. Ensuring that the cables are centered like so, I'll press it all the way down and seat it fully into the chassis. With that, power and speaker are completed. For some power management, I'm taking a small piece of protoboard which I've got locked in a vise, aluminum to protect my bench, and a box cutter. And all I'm going to do is score one side of the board a couple of times, breaking off that section in my other vise. Repeating this one more time to get my final desired width of the piece of protoboard I'm going to be using. Enough for some 5 volts and ground with separation. The two microphones were soldered next. We could see how it's protruding from the back where the chip is, allowing for it to seat on the board. And this select line has been tied directly to 3 volts on this one, making it the right half, and this one goes to ground, making it the left half. With this method, I've reduced the amount of wires going into the main project area by 2. Again, the bottom is the actual front of the board where we see the word port. This is the reprinted chassis, and I'm recording stuff. Whether I make mistakes, I go back, I'm showing people. What I found was this over here and the speaker does not need to be installed first. It's just more wires in the way, doing these mics instead. So now I grab the two microphone mounting brackets, and we can see this recess for the solder blobs. I just push these right in, and they're fit perfectly to allow for that microphone to be centered in that hole. Those two tabs will get a little bit of super glue, holding it in place. And as I stage the install, I remind myself that this one going to ground, this is going to be on the left. So my next step will be the installation of these microphone holders. I'm going to snap them right in. I'm not going to super glue them in yet. The reason being is I'm going to be staging a little more stuff for further wire reduction. Here's my left side mic that was going to ground on select, so I just push it through those holes. Once I get that all the way in, I'll be able to snap this mic into position as shown, and the back of that holder will hold everything flush into the front of the chassis. Same thing with the right side, again observing which mic is going into which port, because they are not the same anymore with that select line. One of those holders could have been temporarily used to put the blank panel in the middle first, removing the holder and gluing in the panel, but no matter, I'll deal with that later. Right now, I'm going to remove both of these holders once I measure the approximate distance between these two cables, because every one of these cables are now common to each other, which means I can reduce the amount of wires by half. Bringing it over to the bench, given my approximate length, I see a separation of about 5 centimeters. One cable I've cut shorter with a generous amount of shielding removed, and the other one, using my stripper, I pull back a certain amount on the existing cable without cutting it, twisting around on each other to make a simple union. It's then soldered, snipped, followed by heat shrink. I'll tell you my technique changed after this. We'll point that out in just a few minutes. This is a reminder why, if you're building this at home, you should watch the entire video before you get underway. There are changes as I find mistakes. All of the other cables will be done in this manner, effectively reducing the cables what was once 12 down to 5, which is pretty good. This is why you watch the whole video first before following along. I've replaced all the 24 gauge cables with 28. 24 was just too thick. That includes this microphone as well. However, I did keep the power 24 gauge. A thicker cable seems appropriate. Also, these cables are now 28, except for the 2 power cables coming off that amplifier. I left those 24, and the speaker, obviously, I left 24. Redone in the same fashion, except I installed the shrink wrap after it was already in the box. A much cleaner install at 28. Next we'll be doing power. I'll snap that USB connector right back in where it was in the last chassis. Then we're going to cut and dress these cables appropriately, using that piece of proto board from before. It's going to sit right about here. There's nothing molded in the plastic because there's a million ways to do this. This is just how I opted to do so. I'm just showing the cables already installed, basically making some power rails. So the stripping of these cables is slightly offset based on the distance. So I'm going to solder these in. It'll be easier to see once everything's soldered in place. And this is what we're left with, essentially 2 power rails, space in between for adequate isolation, and it just rises up and back down, providing a place to tie off the other 5-volt connections. I'm just going to have it 3M glued right here. Pressing it into place, it's not going anywhere, and now I have a really nice multi-tap for that 5-volt power supply, essentially USB connection. The only thing left to do is try it out by plugging it in and making sure I didn't mess up the polarity somehow. That never gets old. Of course, I expect the top to be positive. We'll have a look, and we have good 5 volts. Everything's right. The only thing left to do is mark it. And that's it. Essentially, the power supply for this project is now completed. Based on connections and operational requirements, I'm installing the ESP32 in this direction. Wireless pointed to the left. Yellow stickies captures my pinouts. This green over here will go to the star ground. The remaining wires to the board. The 3 signal wires now installed. The microphone power connects to the 3.3 volt pin on the ESP32, and then I'll connect my ground. Microphones are finished, onto the speaker. We'll reinstall these pieces back into the chassis, remembering only to push against the magnet or the base. It's very fragile. I'll bring these cables and the board into position and push it back into the pegs to seat it down. Followed by the retainer, and this should go on a lot easier than last time because the print is now correct. And just a tiny bit of super glue on those studs would keep that in place. Dealing with the cables now. The amplifier is 5 volts. I'm going to route the red and black cables around back onto our power distribution. I've made another yellow sticky to document the pinouts of this part. The signals of the amp now in place. Along with the power around back, the amplifier wiring is now completed. The final piece will be the touch screen. I'm going to very carefully insert it as to not break the pegs. We can see the detent so we know which way it's supposed to go in. And I'll seat it all the way down, followed by the pegs. Make sure you check which side has the chamfer in it. It should point down to make the peg installation easier. One is finished. I'll do the other one in the same manner. These pegs are particularly delicate, so be very careful when installing these. I would almost argue that this should be installed first as the first piece in case something breaks. You don't have to invest all your time and start all over. This piece, by design, is something that you would push up against from the front So immediately I'm going to take some super glue and I'm just going to put a little dab on each one of those posts and let it dry. Now I have to resolve these connections, and this touchscreen came with those headers pre-installed. It's not desirable, but what I'm going to do is make a custom cable and connector to fit on them using these female connectors. I'll put a link to this kit down below. The two power cables, I am using the 24 gauge. With those done, I'll now make the rest of the cables. Red and black will always be the first two, and I chose the first 5 in a group because they're single cables. That is to say, we're not going to be looping back any cables. Here's our first 5, which I could then plug into the board. The power cables I ran up and around to our rails. The other 3 are now connected. You can see they're facing front. On the next connector, we're going to reduce some of the connections with jumpers, as we see here. I've pre-prepared this cable for the jumper, and here it is installed. The next one also had a jumper. The following one is an individual wire, here in yellow. The next one again had a jumper. And the final one, an individual wire again. I used black because I ran out of colors. I think that'll be okay. But 5 wires, that's it. Now I'll install my lower connector, white facing up. And I'm now ready to terminate these final connections. Everything is now fully assembled. And at this point, I would take a piece of Velcro and secure the ESP32 down to the bottom of this chassis. But I'm going to be working on it further, so I'm not going to do that. But if I did, I would then slap the cover onto the back, completing the project. Very nice. I, however, have a lot of code to finish up, and I'm going to need access to the USB port, so I'm just going to leave mine open. But I've definitely achieved a milestone within this project. I'll post the links to the 3D print and the parts down below. But that concludes this design and assembly portion of the project. When it's completed, I'll post a part 2 where we'll go through everything and try it out. I hope you found this video enjoyable, entertaining, and informative. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below, helps me out a lot when you do, and hit that subscribe button for more videos like this when they come out. When the next video comes out in this series, a link will be posted in the top right corner. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.